ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso weekend. One of the 43 missing Mexico college students has been identified and the charge remains. We have the details. Also, County Judge Veronica Escobar calling for the resignation of 2 UMC board members. In a letter, Chairman William Hansen responds, and he says he's not going anywhere. And the NMSU Aggies now have the Battle of I-10 bragging rights over the Miners after a close win at the Pan American Center last night. We have all the highlights. And in Storm Track weather, Dan.
Well, we saw some rain push through the area. Could we see more of those light showers tonight? We'll explain coming up.
It's all the news you need to start your Sunday, December 7th, 2014. ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso weekend starts now.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso weekend.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Josie Ortagon. The Canutillo Eagles made history last night. The team is now headed to the Class 5A semifinals after beating Everman 17-14 last night. The Eagles took on Everman, trying to become the first area 11-man UIL football team to reach the state semis, and they were successful. They are the first El Paso high school ever to reach the state Final Four. And we'll have more highlights later in sports. And it was round 2 of the Battle of I-10 last night as the Miners traveled up to Las Cruces to take on the NMSU Aggies. The first matchup went down to the wire at 77-76 at the Don Haskins Center. This time, UTEP and NMSU battled it out on the court. The Aggies took the win. Final score, 71-64 Aggies. NMSU is now 4-5, and the UTEP Miners moved to a 4-3 record. We'll have all the highlights later in sports. And the UTEP Miner football team will learn what their bowl destination will be later today. This is video from their win against Middle Tennessee, which made them bowl eligible last week. All signs point to Albuquerque. The most likely scenario has UTEP playing in the New Mexico Bowl Saturday, December 20th. The official determination will be announced by Mountain West Conference Commissioner Craig Thompson on ESPN later this afternoon. And be sure to stay with us, and we'll have all those updates for you later. Now let's talk weather now. Some areas saw some sprinkles this morning, and Storm Tracker Dan Martinez has all those details. Hi, Dan. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, definitely some areas did see sprinkles. I had to use the windshield wipers on my way to work. Not much, but still, nonetheless, we saw some rain move through, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here on our Doppler radar system. This is the last 6 hours. You saw some of that activity move through, especially the northeast of El Paso County, but other than that, we've pretty much cleared on out, and as I kind of just zoom in to show you where it moved through, things now are calm, which is good news for us. 49 degrees right now in El Paso, feeling like 45 degrees. Those north winds at 8 miles per hour. Las Cruces feeling like 46, though our temperature also at 49 degrees, and those northwest winds at 9 miles per hour. Here's what you can expect for the day today. We're going to hang on to just a very slight chance of rain for about the next hour or so, and then it'll dissipate practically for the rest of the day. But notice we'll be in the 60s throughout the rest of our day today. Will we be warming up more than what we've seen already this week? Well, I'll talk about that coming up in the 7-day forecast in just a few minutes. Josie?
Thanks, Dan. Today marks 73 years since the deadly attack on Pearl Harbor. The surprise attack on the naval base in Hawaii was carried out by Japanese bombers on this day in 1941. Nearly 2,500 people were killed and another 1,000 were wounded. The attack destroyed more than half of the U.S. Pacific Fleet and damaged 8 battleships. The United States declared war on Japan on December 8th, marking the nation's entry into World War II. No, that is UMC Board Chair William Hansen's response to County Judge Veronica Escobar's call for his resignation. Judge Escobar has not only asked Board Chair Hansen to resign, but Vice Chair Laura Ponce as well. Escobar and Hansen accuse each other of not having open and honest communication, and now some are wondering how UMC is planning to move forward with its current leadership. ABC 7's Pilar Arias has the latest.
They miss the point when they say, well, we've had a lot of meetings with them. When Mr. Valenti says, I've met with them more this year than I've ever met with them. It is the quality of the communication and the content and the significance of the communication. It's fine to show me as many PowerPoints as you want. That doesn't tell me what I need to know.
Heated emotions from a special board meeting have carried into the weekend, fueled by letters exchanged by County Judge Veronica Escobar and UMC Board Chairman William Hansen. Escobar says there's lack of communication. that neither Hansen nor Vice Chair Laura Ponce respects Commissioner's Court, and hospital goals can only be achieved with leaders who will listen and work with Commissioner's Court. Hansen responds by asking Judge Escobar to, quote, reread any of UMC's annual reports, that she would find an example of an organization that is forthright, honest, and transparent. He says she should be more concerned with the fact that El Paso Children's Hospital owes UMC $81 million. And he believes the average citizen is fed up with, quote, political malarkey.
Communication and trust building is a two-way street, which is one of the reasons I made some of the comments that I've made, is that we are making the effort to move forward and to open that dialogue with the stakeholders that we have, including the Commissioner's Court, but it has to be a two-way street.
We've been following the backlash of CEO Jim Valenti's annual bonuses and deferred compensation, as well as comments made by Valenti earlier this week, suggesting taking Children's Hospital under the UMC umbrella and running it as a nonprofit hospital. Friday night, the board agreed to move forward with a written reprimand against Valenti, but did not say why. And grab a pen and paper. We have several traffic alerts for you that'll be in effect this week. Beginning tomorrow, the east and westbound lanes on Paisano Drive between Park Street and Cole Street will be closed. That closure will be in effect from 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. every day until Friday. Crews in that area will be surveying and potholing. Also starting tomorrow, the north and southbound right lane along Dyer Street and Ellerthorpe Avenue and Kemp Avenue will be closed. That'll be in effect every day this week as well from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Crews will be working on the Dyer Street sidewalks project. And a complete closure of I-10 between Paisano exit ramp and the Reynolds entrance ramp will be closed beginning tomorrow through Thursday. That'll be in effect from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. So it shouldn't affect morning commuters too much, but just be aware of that. Crews will be working on the Spalding repair project. And finally, TxDOT crews will also be closing Montana between Joe Battle and Yarborough Drive beginning tomorrow, and it'll be closed until further notice. Crews in that area are working on widening the roadway, so just give yourself some extra time if you're going to be in those areas this week. Back in March of 2013, an El Paso police officer shot and killed handcuffed prisoner Daniel Saenz. And now the El Paso Times is reporting the officer involved, Jose Flores, was fired on October 28th due to the incident. The Times reports a prison transport guard had been escorting Saenz out of the jail to get medical attention at a hospital. Saenz, who was unarmed and handcuffed from behind, allegedly attacked Flores and the guard when Flores shot Saenz. The Saenz family filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against Flores and the city of El Paso. The lawsuit is still pending. There are new developments in the case of 43 missing college students in Mexico. Investigators have now identified the remains of one of the students. But families of the missing say their quest for justice is not over. Rafael Romo has more.
The remains belonging to 19-year-old Alexander Mora Venancio are the first to be identified. He's one of the 43 students from a rural teachers' college in southern Mexico who went missing in late September. The announcement was made on the school's Facebook page. A legal representative for the families of the missing also confirmed the news to CNN. At a protest in Mexico City Saturday night, a group of parents acknowledged the announcement, but said the search for the rest of the group is not over.
Hijo, donde quiera que estés.
My son, wherever you are, I'll keep looking for you, even if my heart is breaking by the news, this father said. The spokesman for the parents of the missing says their quest is not over. No matter where the missing might be, we, the parents, are not going to stop until justice is done, Felipe de la Cruz said. The Mexican Attorney General announced in early November his investigation indicated all students were dead.
No tengo ninguna duda.
Based on circumstantial evidence and interrogation of suspects, Murillo said the students were abducted by corrupt police officers, turned over to a criminal gang, executed, and their bodies burned in a landfill before being tossed in plastic bags into a river. The challenge of positively identifying the human remains is daunting. According to Mexican officials, the bodies were so badly burned that they were only able to recover charred bone fragments and ashes. Many victims may never be identified. Last week, Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto visited the state of Guerrero for the first time since the students disappeared.
Es claro que aquí la intervención del crimen organizado
The president said organized crime is to blame for the disappearance of the students. He also said his government is resolved to get to the bottom of the case. Rafael Romo, CNN Atlanta.
New this morning, the state of New Mexico has decided to fine the U.S. Department of Energy for more than $54 million for violations at the waste isolation pilot plant and Los Alamos National Laboratory. This is all because of the handling of waste that led to 2 major incidents at UTEP earlier this year. In early February, there were 2 separate incidents, an underground fire and a radiological release at the UTEP facility. In February, a canister of waste from Los Alamos ruptured, causing the fire. More than 20 workers were contaminated, and the facility was forced to close. The state alleges Los Alamos treated hazardous waste without a permit and failed to notify regulators about the changes in the way the waste was being handled. The state has found 30 state permit violations, and the state says there could be even more as the investigation continues. Still ahead on ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso weekend, downtown El Paso is officially in the spirit of Christmas. We'll show you why coming up. And later, thousands protested in the streets of Mexico again yesterday. We'll have the latest coming up. Time now is 8:11. Let's take a live look outside, courtesy of our TxDOT traffic cams this morning. I-10 and Reynolds, clear this morning. So if you have any Sunday morning plans, you're good to go. And in storm track weather, Dan.
Well, any Sunday morning plans, like Josie said, things looking fine. Weather won't be a problem, but what about for the rest of the work week? Well, I'll talk about that coming up in storm track weather.
You're watching ABC 7, where news comes first.
You're watching ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso Weekend with Josie Ortegon and Storm Track Weather with Dan Martinez.